It was just past midnight on October 12th, 2022, when Julian DeVere's call came in to 911. He was frantic, his voice trembling, breaking mid-sentence. He claimed he couldn't reach his fiancé, Amelia Rose, that she was locked inside their Lower East Side photo studio, that something was wrong. "The smell, it's chemical," he kept saying. "It's not right." First responders forced the studio door open just 12 minutes later. What they found inside would confuse them for weeks and haunt them for years. Amelia Rose, 27, vibrant, wildly talented, and on the verge of global recognition, was dead. She lay sprawled just a few feet from the darkroom entrance. No bruises, no blood, just stillness. A body that hadn't been touched or tampered with, and no one else inside. The studio was sealed from the inside with a chain lock and bolt. The single window had bars. No fire escape. No back entrance. But one detail stood out. In the dark room, a single photo hung drying. It was a portrait of Amelia. She was smiling. The timestamp on the photo said 9:48 p.m., but the coroner would later determine her time of death to be closer to 8:30. She was already dead when the shutter clicked. Detective Marie Kinlan was assigned the case just before dawn. A 15-year NYPD veteran, Kinlan was no stranger to suspicious deaths or twisted love stories. But something about this one felt different. Amelia wasn't just talented, she was adored. Her final exhibit, scheduled for the following week, had been generating buzz across the city. Even Julian's fame couldn't compete with hers anymore. But now, Amelia was gone, and the man who claimed to love her was the last person to see her alive. Julian DeVere was well known in the fashion photography world. Older than Amelia by 12 years, suave, and impossibly curated. He had the looks of a model and the presence of a ghost. He met Amelia 2 years earlier at a gallery opening in Brooklyn. According to friends, their connection was instant. She was like light, and he chased shadows. One mutual friend recalled, "They shouldn't have worked, but they did." For a while, Julian told police that Amelia had been working alone in the studio that night, developing prints the old-fashioned way, with chemicals, red lights, and patience. "She was purist," he said during the interview. She said digital made people lazy. She believed the dark room revealed the soul. He claimed he left around 8 p.m. to get coffee. By the time he returned, just after 11, the door was locked. She wasn't answering. And then, the smell. He insisted it must have been an accident, but Kinlan didn't buy it. There were no spilled chemicals, no gloves, no protective mask, and yet toxicology revealed trace levels of potassium cyanide, enough to kill her within minutes. Normally, cyanide isn't used in photography anymore, but Amelia had spoken in interviews about using antique processes. "The chemicals are dangerous," she once said, "but the results are worth the risk." Still, everything was too clean, too perfect, like a scene constructed for the lens. Then came the life insurance policy. Taken out just 3 weeks earlier, Julian was the sole beneficiary. $2 million. Kinlan confronted Julian with the paperwork. He didn't deny it. "She was paranoid," he said. "She asked me to set it up, in case something happened." But when asked to produce the paperwork proving Amelia initiated it, he hesitated. Said he'd look for it. Said he wasn't sure where she kept things. The story could have stopped there. A tragic accident with an odd set of circumstances. But 5 days later, while cataloging Amelia's personal items, a detective found something strange. A hidden camera, wrapped in silk, buried beneath a loose studio floorboard. Inside it, 3 undeveloped rolls of film. What developed chilled even the most seasoned investigators. 8 black and white photographs, all of Julian, some candid, some intimate. One of him shirtless, brushing his teeth, another of him staring into a mirror, holding a knife. But these photos weren't recent. They were old, dated before Julian and Amelia had even met. Someone had been following him, watching him, and Amelia had those rolls hidden away. The final frame? Julian, standing in the center of Amelia's private darkroom, backlit by red light. His hand rested on her shoulder. Amelia looked terrified. When shown the photos, Julian said they were staged. "We were working on a series," he claimed, "about fear, about control. You can't take everything at face value." But no such project was ever logged in Amelia's journals. In fact, the last few pages of her diary were written in code, symbols and shorthand, sketched diagrams of lenses and shadows, cryptic lines like, "If I vanish, it's because the frame closed around me," and "He thinks I'm still in love. He doesn't know I already left." 1 week later, Julian disappeared. He left behind everything, his passport, his apartment, even his camera. Gone without a trace. Detective Kinlan sent out an alert, but weeks passed with no movement. Then, a break, an Interpol flag in Florence, Italy. Julian was seen at a gallery opening, but he wasn't alone. On his arm was a woman who looked exactly like Amelia. Same smile, same posture, even the same scar beneath the left wrist. Authorities detained them both. Julian identified her as Lucia, his new partner. Lucia said nothing. She had no ID, no passport, only a locket with the initials AR. Julian told police, "She never died. You buried the wrong girl. You think you know the story, but you don't. Amelia didn't want to be found." The woman was taken into custody for questioning, but 48 hours later, she vanished from a secure hospital in Florence. Gone. Leaving behind only a handwritten note, scrawled in the same looping style as Amelia's known letters, "Love doesn't kill you. It just lets you die on your own terms." Detective Kinlan reopened the investigation in New York. She now believes Amelia may have been part of something deeper, a secret, a collective, a group of artists who believed in the ultimate escape, not death, but disappearance. And Julian? He might have just helped her do it, or he might have killed her and recreated her in someone else. Was Amelia their first muse, or just their most successful illusion? Subscribe, hit the bell, and ask yourself, what if your greatest love never really existed?